Hey good people, Batavia here. Welcome back to my Chicago garden. So every season we see questions like, how do I know when something's ready to harvest? And it's not always easy to tell. Every vegetable shows the different signs on when it's at its best. And I thought about that when I filmed this garden walkthrough last growing season. And then this year I realized I hadn't shared it with y'all. So since we're in the middle of harvest season, I thought this is the perfect time to share. So we're gonna walk through the cues I look for to know if something is ready to harvest today, if maybe I should have harvested yesterday, or if I'm gonna leave it on the plant a little while longer. Let's dig in. So I'm gonna put summer plants into two categories for the purpose of harvesting. It's those plants that once they're established, the fruit produces really quickly and you have a matter of days between when it's prime and then when it's not so tasty. Okra is one of those quick growers, get it off the plant as soon as it's to the size that you want. You have cucumbers and summer squash. I'd say green beans. Those are examples where they may not grow as quick as okra, but they do have some speed on them when it comes to they're too small to harvest, then they're too large to harvest. And then you have those that are slower to grow, even with an established plant. The veggie actually takes a little bit more time before it reaches the point of it's mature, and even sometimes you get quite a bit of time after that to harvest it from the plant. The one on the left, prime size. The one on the right needs about maybe a half a day to grow, and then the one right in the center is probably going to be ready tomorrow, no later than the day after. Okra will absolutely get woody to the taste if you leave it on the vine too long. Summer squash, really almost any variety, goes from kind of a smaller size, like if you, let's see, we look at that one, and I know it's a little harder to see. You can see it underneath there compared to this overgrown zucchini, which has been on the vine probably 3 days too long. Another summer squash, this is a yellow squash. This is probably the most I've enjoyed yellow squash in the garden. This is two separate plants. This particular variety, it could get even a little bit larger than this and still be enjoyable, and that's only because I've tried it out at different sizes this season, which I highly recommend, especially if you're growing something for a first time. What size do you like it at? It may depend on the recipe you're using it on, but I'm just sauteing a lot of squash, maybe even roasting a bit of it, and it is enjoyable really for this particular variety at any size. You can really eat it at any stage, and it's all really preference. So down there, that's an itty bitty baby, not quite ready, but in 2 days it will be. We're gonna let those get on a little bit more size before we come in to harvest them. Things that are going to impact the growth are going to be nutrients that the plant's getting, water, sun. So this is a summer squash that is getting quite shaded, and that's okay. And so this is growing slower than a plant that I may have in the backyard. So I'll leave that to get a little bit larger, and that's probably going to take another few days even. When I consider cucumbers, variety really matters. This is a pickling cucumber. This is a little larger than I'd like. This is more ideal for a cucumber. So fair warning, my cucumbers are a little bit sickly. I think it's blight, but they're still producing. So we saw a pickling cucumber. This is a straight 8, and so it's going to get larger in size and still be just fine. I'm just looking to make sure that it's not turned yellow yet. That's one of the things that's a sign for a cucumber being overripe, assuming the cucumber is meant to be green or it's not meant to be yellow. But here's another example of a straight 8. Both of those are just fine to harvest. I'm going to pick the one at the bottom just because I already have some other cucumbers, and let the one up top get a little bit larger. Something about harvesting green things among green things. We'll share some corn highlights. So super excited about this year's sweet corn. Silver King, which produces basically a white kernel, all white kernel. So how do I know when it's ready? This has been a bit of trial and error. So I check the silks Are they dry and are they brown? So that's the first thing, which these have been. I'm checking the ear for plumpness, right? So were the pollination jobs done? And then if you really want to double, triple check, you can pierce the ear. So pull back just a little bit and then pierce it with your fingernail or a knife, and we're looking for a milky substance. Versus a watery substance. So we have a milky substance. I am going to pick that one as well. So green bean size and look is really preference. I like my green beans, these are all bush varieties, on the smaller side. I feel like they're more tender. So like this could get a little bit larger for my preference, but that size is fine. I don't want the bean to actually protrude from the shell. So this is an example of, for my liking, a bean that's overripe. If you leave them on the vine too long, the plant thinks it's done producing. And so I've eaten green beans plenty of times where I could see the actual bean. So don't get me wrong, still absolutely edible. So that's one of those notes of it's definitely your preference. Peppers, that's on the list of, it gives you quite a long time to be able to enjoy them. So these green Jimmy Nardellos are technically okay to harvest. It's a sweet pepper. It's not really going to be sweet compared to the red pepper. So once it's fully mature, could stay on the vine for a while as long as we have the skin is still firm, still shiny. But at this point in the season, I want to make sure I'm not tempting any creatures from snacking on these peppers. So I'm going to harvest all of those red ones, and I'm going to let something like this continue to ripen until it's red. That's typically my rule of thumb when it comes to peppers. I let them get ripe on the vine unless I have some issue with, let's say, weather is coming in. We're a ways from that. While the temperatures have cooled, I don't have to worry about these plants being killed by, a frost. Not yet, anyway. An example of bell peppers. So this variety, I believe, is a little bit on the smaller side. So if you look here, I'm going to say that's probably the maximum growth I'll see. So they're designed to be a white bell pepper. And that means that if it's gotten to its color and size, it's ready to be harvested from the garden. So then we have a bell pepper that we have, the peppers are starting to ripen. So ready, this will be, as the weather's kind of cooling off, ready in maybe a week or so. Once you start to see them get soft, they're really overripe. Still can use them, of course. And remember, because this is a bell pepper that's going to ripen to red, this is going to be the sweetest. It will truly be a sweet bell pepper, where this is just going to have your bell pepper flavor. And for sure, a full green one will be the same as far as the flavor, but not necessarily sweetness. These jalapenos look a little bit on the small side, so there's more growth to happen. This is an example of, if you want it green, this is a perfect example. Skin is still glossy. It's about the size I would expect from this variety. Whereas here, we still have some growing to do. Just like anything we talk about though, it all depends on your preference. Two other eggplants in the garden. Here, this one has gone wild. I'm going to come in and harvest, not necessarily this size, but this is prime for harvesting. It's still shiny. It still has a little bit of give when pressing it, so that's perfect. Now I'm curious about where these red tomatoes are coming from. I don't know. So it's my hope they're coming off of this plant, and I recognize that there's going to be some sacrifice. I'll harvest that tomato because it has kind of fully blushed. Shoulders are a little bit green, but I'm going to take it in early, where if I have protection from my tomatoes, I will let them get just a tinge bit redder. So this looks like the ace bush, which if that's the case, that's okay. Because again, it's out in the wild. Eggplant. So I've been watching this particular plant, and that is the size that this black beauty is getting on this plant. And so you want to make sure that the skin is still shiny. You can see kind of the shine or the sheen. Once it starts to get dull, the eggplant could be seedy, it could be a little bit tougher. And so you want to make sure that you're managing that closely. Eggplant is on the second list though. It still gives you some time to get your harvest game together. For our tomatoes here, you have ripe. I'd say that's fully ripe. This has some color on it. So this could be picked, which I will. And something like this still has quite a bit of green. So I'll leave that on the vine for a while longer. These tomatoes back here, I can see that some of it's red, some of it's not, but I want to make sure I'm monitoring kind of the pests. You could see some bugs were crawling on that tomato, and I want to make sure that I'm not leaving the fruit on the vine too long and drawing in some of those pests. I think insects more than squirrels. So quick note for tomatoes, which are prone to splitting when you get heavier rain. So my rule of thumb is if rain is in the forecast, I try to come in and do a clean sweep of my tomatoes for those that have some color to them. Because once they split, while they're still going to be edible as it continues to ripen, it's a prime opportunity for mold to set in. These are mostly bell peppers, so I'd say that that's the size that this bell pepper is going to get. So now I'm just waiting for it to get to color. Here is an example. This is the same plant. I can see here that there has been bug damage here, and so I'll harvest that one and cut into it to see if I can salvage the rest of the pepper. I won't wait until that gets color, because ultimately that damage could rot the pepper altogether. Grasshoppers, as long as you don't get very close to them, they'll mostly stay still. Cherokee purple, this is ideal size and color, so we'll harvest that. And I see quite a few grasshoppers in there. The first pineapple of the season. Boy, have we been waiting really over a year now for these. So the one on the left could be taken into the kitchen with me, but I'm going to give it another couple of days. And then the one on the right, wonderful size, blushing, but needs some more time. Okie doke. Thanks so much for spending some time with me. I hope seeing some real life examples in my garden is helpful when it comes to what you're harvesting in your space. If you have a chance, I'd love to hear from y'all on what you're harvesting, like right now, like yesterday, today, what you'll be harvesting this week. And also tell us where you're gardening from. I really like seeing how gardens progress across the country, across the world. Super helpful for me, and I'm sure others who are reading along. As always, if you have any questions or comments, feel free to drop them below. Look forward to seeing y'all on the next one.